Y'all ready for this?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is the Pregame Rewind. I am Tolly Carr in Atlanta. This is episode number 12. Now, if you're old enough, you remember, George Bush had that fuzzy math. We're going to use a little fuzzy math here because a couple of these episodes we did 2 in a week. But for the most part, this is 3 months of the pregame show. Nearly 12 divided by 4 gives you 3, man. We started this before the season started. We had no idea what would happen. But as we sit here today, after this weekend's victory over Arizona State, another thriller, Colorado sits at 4-2, and I smell bowl. I smell bowl talk. We're getting close to being bowl eligible here. That's going to be a lot of fun. Please come to Atlanta. Please somehow make it to Atlanta. Please. I don't know. I don't even know what bowl games there are this year. I'm just praying to the bowl gods for something close to Atlanta, Neely. But, man, what a weekend, Neely. First, before we get into the game, man, what was it like? The rest of the country is enjoying hoodies and long sleeves, and you were down there 101 degrees in Tempe.
Hey, man, it was hot. It was hot. And it was hot, Tyler. I got no other way to describe it. Like, it was 103 degrees at one point, man, and you had to change clothes pregame and halftime. Like, you had to do something because it was blazing. But I will say this. By the time that sun went behind the home side press box and the suites there, it was a pretty nice evening. It felt like a fall in Mississippi, for instance. But kickoff morning, going into the game, kickoff, it was blazing. It was every bit of 103 degrees.
So it's hot. It's pretty hot. It's nothing like I haven't seen before. Played in Mississippi, played soccer in Brazil, Mexico, and Panama. So, I'm used to this tropical weather. Well, it's not really tropical, but it's hot.
And you and the team left Colorado, heading down. What was the temperature when you flew out of Colorado?
We were a pleasant 62 degrees here in Colorado and flew into a 40-degree uptick.
Wow. Now, was there preparation, or is that just something that the coach was like, look, man, you're just going to have to deal with it? Was there any way they tried to prep for that heat that they knew was coming?
Oh, absolutely. Starting way back with the TCU game, knowing that we were going into an extreme temperature change, Coach Prime put signs all over the cafeteria, players, water, Gatorade only. That same thing happened as we got ready to go down to Arizona. It was a water and Gatorade only. Coach Mo Sims, pushed hydration. All the position coaches pushed hydration. And if you watch the game, we went the entire game and had to not have one player cramp. The other team did, but we didn't.
Wow. So, Neely, normally we take a temperature check, a different type of temperature check on your level of I believe during the game, because it's not going to be a Colorado football game unless it is an emotional roller coaster for fans out there. You're like, all right, we got this. Oh, we're losing. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I've kind of figured it out. I've kind of figured out how these close games are going to go. On that last drive, I told my daughter, who doesn't know any of these people except Deion Sanders, I was like, Alejandro is going to come in and win this game before the drive started. And that's what happened. I would imagine you were just cool as a cucumber, as ironic as that might be, as this game ticked down.
Absolutely. We have seen this movie before. We've starred in this movie before. We've won Best Supporting Actor in this movie before. So this is nothing new. The team got off to another slow start, although it was 7-point score by the offense in the first quarter. Still a slow start for the dynamic offense that this can be, and it's shown it can be. And so the game was always close, but you never felt that somehow we were going to lose this game, particularly when it got to where it was 50 seconds left and Deion Sanders was getting the ball again. She's like, well, we know what's going to happen here. We've seen this movie before. We've seen this play out. But I'll tell you this, though, Tyler, here's an interesting fun fact for you. The evening before, Friday evening, on the show I do with DNVR Sports Bar, I told them, they said, hey, who's your pick for player of the game? I said, it's going to be Alejandro Mata.
You called it, man. You called it.
Negro Damas was right again.
You just pulled it right out of your beard. Alejandro Mata is going to be the MVP.
I am going with Alejandro Mata.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I think that as much as Feely was here, was graceful and magnanimous in his comments, I think we're going to see more Mata here in Arizona than we've seen back home. And I think Mata is going to make the most of those opportunities.
Look, let's hear from Automata, all right? Because he does not miss. You had a chance to talk to him right after the game.
Walk us through it.
To every kick, I always gotta have like a mind blank. Make sure I'm not thinking about anything else but the kick. To make sure that I perfect everything that I can perfect.
They tried to ice you. You made that one, then came right back.
I got ice in my veins, man. Like, come on, bro. You can't ice something that's already iced. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Neely, bring us up to speed. Fans from everywhere. You got bandwagon. You got people who followed from Jackson to Colorado. You got Colorado fans who weren't fully aware of everything that happened at Jackson. Alejandro Mata was the starting kicker, no doubt, coming from Jackson State. He kind of had to earn this spot that he has now at Colorado. Tell us about his relationship, his connection with Coach Prime dating back to last season.
Coach Prime has believed in Alejandro Mata from day one, all the way from that big win down in Miami in the Orange Blossom Classic. You've now reached that magical point, though, where Alejandro Mata has now been in Colorado longer than he was at Jackson State. He was only at Jackson State one semester. He was there for that fall season, then transferred here and now been here for a spring, a summer, and a fall. So it's an interesting dynamic because of how clutch he was. And there was no doubt about it. Had he stayed at Jackson State, he would be one of those guys who became the all-time, scorer, not just kicking, but a lot of times kickers always leading scoring when you're making that many at that pace. So he was going to leave an impact there, but there was an opportunity for him to be seen on a bigger scale, man, and he took that opportunity to join Coach Prime out here in Colorado. And Colorado had a prolific kicker that decided to transfer. And so a lot of the fan base here, when Coach Prime came, like, oh, you don't have to bring in the kickers. We got a guy. That guy left, and Alejandro Mata and even Jace Feely have proven that they can get it done, man.
And it seemed to be, Jace was kind of the de facto kicker to start the season. We saw, a couple that have gone wide left and kicker. Look, that's that position, man. You don't get a lot of chances to make a lot of mistakes, especially when there's some depth behind you. But for people that don't know Mata, like, this guy is a dog by Coach Prime's definition. And I know, kickers, you don't think of them as being physical and they practice over there and they kind of do their own thing and whatever. But I have never seen this guy flinch. Timeouts don't bother him.
He takes that old phrase where they say pimping ain't easy, and he'll say kicking ain't easy. I just make it look easy because I'm so confident with my ability. And, he prepares, he practices hard on it. He does his own reps before, games and before practice. And he just believes he's dialed in and he doesn't think he's going to miss. And so that's why Prime named him. He don't miss.
Not at all. Speaking of Coach Prime, let's hear a little bit from him. Post-game, happy for the win, but totally happy overall. I wouldn't go that far.
Wonderful win. Played like hot garbage. I'm trying to figure this out. Sick of it. I really am. I'm sick of us coming out here and putting forth the effort we put forth in the first half. We've for the practices, we've had really diligent meetings, and we're trying to figure this out. Trying to figure this out because I'm sick of it. I'm sorry. I'm happy about the win, but I'm not happy in the fashion that we won it in. We're better than that. We really are better than that, and we got to start showing that. I expect to win, and I expect to win in a better fashion than that. I'm sick of these consistent holes that we're displaying and the penalties and the things that we're doing. We're so much better.
So there we have it. I read somewhere that Coach Prime has had a few trademarks that he's filed this season for some of the things that he likes to say. He might want to add hot garbage to that list. I don't think I saw that on the list, but that's something that he says quite a lot when he's not happy. What was there to your sense to build on from this game? Any momentum? Building positive, kind of blocks to step on and keep this thing moving forward.
Absolutely. I love some Deion Sanders, man. Love some Coach Prime. But I don't have a gold jacket. I'm not Coach Prime. And so my dad used to tell me when two men agree on everything, only one man is doing the thinking. And so I hear what he's saying. I understand why he's saying it. But, man, we won. and there's a lot to take away from this win. We had lost 2 games in a row. We couldn't afford to lose a third in a row. And we're going on the road for a conference game and get a win. I don't care how hot garbage it was, we got a win. And you needed that going into Stanford, who you're going to host here at home, and then going into the bye week, and you'll be back at full strength with players like Travis Hunter back and some of the other guys fully healed up. So this was a huge win because there's a big difference psychologically. There's a big difference in record from being 4-2 and 3-3.
Neely, I know you get the inside look, and I know you hold your cards tight, man. I say it every week. You can't tell us everything. Did you know those helmets were going to hit as hard as they did with the gold? I'm just going to call them the gold fronts on those helmets they rolled out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Work real close with Smitty, who's over equipment, and each week, you see what uniforms that Coach Prime is going to be choosing from because it's absolutely his selection. And as I said before in the pregame show, man, even here on the rewind, with the partnership with Nike and the equipment staff, with the leadership of Smitty down there, really don't have to wear the same uniform twice this year or helmet design twice this year. So to go on the road and have to be in the lighter color in white, but to top it off with the black helmets and the gold face mask, it just looked outstanding. And you saw Coach Prime had a similar look he put on to match their face mask. He had the gold headset on.
I noticed that. The details. I noticed that, man. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. I'm sure somebody will drop in the comments that it has happened before, but man, that gold and that black together, that was, and it just looked like literal gold. I mean, not gold paint. It looked like it was like 14 karat gold grills on the front of those masks, man. I mean, in front of those helmets.
Oh, no doubt. It was even better in person. Speaking of better in person or on TV, this is probably going to be the last time that one of our games ends up on the Pac-12 network solely because demand around the nation, man, was how the hell do I watch this game? Where can I watch it? Oh, man, it's on the Pac-12 network. They probably had a boost in weekend trial subscriptions, just people wanting to watch the game. But I imagine going forward, people are going to see the helmets more and the face masks more and the uniforms more and the play-in more and Alejandro more and Shadua more because ESPN and Fox and everybody else is not going to let that happen again.
I kind of judge the national, bandwagon, common man popularity of Colorado based upon how much and this is what I do locally, based upon how much they talk about it on Atlanta sports talk radio, because, you got Georgia, Alabama. This is the heart of SEC country. And one of the announcers this week was like, oh, yeah, this Colorado thing is over. Nobody's talking about this game. I was like, it's on the Pac-12 net. Like, there's not that free ESPN 1000 commercials. There's not that free Fox promo. So it wasn't going to hit as hard with just a person just a sheep in front of their TV and they just take it all in. But I would imagine the Pac-12 probably most likely had its highest viewership on their network because I got the channel, Neely. I didn't even know I had it. I have like 8 Pac-12 channels. I've never watched it once. But man, I was scrolling through to find that thing on Saturday and was locked in the entire time.
Yeah, I bet it's going to do record numbers for them. And, got this Friday night game that's going to be coming up Friday the 13th, hosting Stanford. And it'll be on ESPN in their Friday night package. So fear not, you don't have to scroll too far this time, Tom.
I'm glad. I was a little nervous on Saturday morning. Omarion Miller, McCray, you look at guys who made those jumps last week and this week, kind of came back down to earth a little bit. Neely, there's just up and downs with young players, and you're going to see that. I don't think it's an overall indictment on somebody, and what their long-term prognosis is. But, man, I think the big lesson that players learn is excellence week in and week out there's a challenge there.
No doubt about it, man. We have to keep in mind that Omarion Miller and Kermani McClain are both freshmen. They still have some growing pains to go through and do. And so whereas they had, fantastic games last week, ran into some troubles these past week. Miller had a clear touchdown in the end zone, but kind of alligator armed it instead of extending for it. Freshman mistake. He'll grow out of that. Kermani let a guy cross his face in the early goings of the game 2 times in the row was pulled. It happens, man. It's part of football. But here's what also happens here in Colorado. It's not just the next man up because someone is injured or something. you have these rooms in the secondary and receivers are deep. And, as soon as Omario Miller was not the guy this week, here comes Javon Antonio, who really was the major part of that drive and getting down there in that scoring position. So Shedeur Sanders is going to go to the favorable matchup. He's going to find the guy. He's not going to have like a favorite receiver and just force the ball to them no matter what. So week in after week in, you're going to see Zay Miller, have almost 200 yards. You're going to see then next week Miller have almost 200. You're going to see Javon Antonio with crucial catches for 60 yards and putting us in scoring positions. And next week it'll be somebody else because Shedeur Sanders knows how to manage the game matchup-wise and exploit that matchup.
And I don't have my best week as a host. I said McCray and not McLean, so let me correct myself. I would put myself on the bench, Neely, but you'd be here talking to yourself. It might be a better show, but we don't have a lot of depth in the Atlanta department.
I wouldn't let you sit long, man. Just let you think one series, then bring you back.
You would make me run some laps in practice, though. I do know you.
No, not laps, bear crawls. See, you want to run laps. I mean, you run a couple miles, 3 miles, 5 miles every day anyway. That's like throwing Bro Rabbit in the briar patch. That's what you want me to do.
Neely, I can run in a straight line. I can do that. Anything that requires jumping, falling down, and getting back up, the better days are behind me. I have one of those workout mirrors at home, and every time we have to do those up downs, man, my down is –
You stay down.
It takes a while to get down there, and it takes a while to get back up. You had a pretty cool video leading into the game. Xavier Weaver, you were just walking with him, man. He was doing some talking. And look, you got to know when Neely is behind you, the mic is on at all times, all right? And so, we have this thing with name, image, and likeness, but in this age of Taylor Swift and football, man, I'd say shoot your shot wherever you want your arrow to land.
See, who is this? This Taylor Swift, man? Yeah. This is the hottest female in the country, right? Because of Travis Kelce. He won 3 Super Bowls. He got with her and she changed his life. Wow, what the fuck? Don't worry about it. When I get Zendaya, it's going to be just like that. When I get Zendaya, man, she's too big for you. She out my league. They're probably saying the same thing about Taylor. No, that's different. You got to be Michael Jackson to get Zendaya. Taylor bigger than Zendaya, ain't it? Huh? Taylor bigger than Zendaya, ain't it? Yeah. Now imagine they see you as Zendaya. Ooh. You need Zendaya, but I'm going to take my hats off to you, bro. Just put me on a friend. I just want somebody that close. I want the big dog. I want the little friend. I got a little friend.
Just put me on her auntie.
Just put me on the auntie or something. Your cousin.
All right, so Neely, we heard it, man. Look, I'm an old man. I'm not going to comment on people young enough to be my kids, but hey, if I was 20-ish, Zendaya, that would be a wise choice. I mean, just shoot for the stars, literally.
I think that was an old song, man, that said nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Gotta have something if you want to be with me.
Yeah, like go for it, man. What's the worst she gonna say? No? How does that change your life? Her saying no? You done heard no before.
I mean, you're only playing for one of the most popular sports entities in America right now. I mean, you put it out there. Colorado is the Q factor is super, super high.
Hey, look, let me tell you this, man. Listen to me, audience. Hear me well. Spider-Man ain't real. Zay Weaver is. Zendaya ain't crazy.
He can go for Miles Morales. He can be the other Spider-Man.
Get
something going there.
that's all green screen, man. This dude is doing it on green grass. Pick your heroes wisely.
I'm with you. I like your line of thinking. Neely, the Friday night vibe, this is going to be a little different. It's kind of a new thing to college football. I remember a couple of years ago, everyone was up in arms. It was going to take away from high school football. And, then those checks started cashing, and that kind of went away. What do you think the vibe will be like a Friday night game for Colorado?
It's going to be electric, man. It's going to be a home game. Folsom Field, man, the student section is always on and popping. Like, it is loud here. It has not reached that known kind of loudness like you have up there, with the 12th man and the Seahawks or with the Oregon Ducks. But, man, trust me, it is loud here at Folsom Field. It's Friday night. It's Friday the 13th in a college town that's known to party. It will give us our 5th win on the season. I just think, man, it's going to be off the chains electric.
Neely, I love the Friday the 13th. I'm envisioning a lot of hockey masks in the stands there at Folsom, and I'm glad you threw that name out there because we like to acknowledge some of the commentary within our community, and my phone vibrates. Every 10 minutes, people are in the comments talking about country music. You put a video, I think you might have just did this on Facebook. It could be on YouTube, but give some context on why everybody's talking about country music in the locker room and music in Colorado.
Well, there's a player here by the name of Jeremiah Brown who loves to hunt and fish and loves to knock the hell out of people. He's a linebacker, and he's just a country boy, man, and he ain't faking the funk. He loves country music. So I'm walking through the locker room, and it's pretty empty, and I hear country music playing. And I knew, no doubt about it, that's Jeremiah Brown. So I turned the camera on, and sure enough, it was him. And he went and adjusted the playlist and started singing along. We posted on the Instagram and TikTok, and it went so viral. The singer of the song even came on and liked it, commented, started following Jeremiah Brown, and his manager reached out to JB, got his address, and is sending him some gear.
Man, and was there something that just got people so interested and tickled that this guy liked country music?
It is what it is, man. Here's a muscle-bound black dude, singing country music, man. Talking about his boots and, his Texas shirt and walking in red dirt, whatever the lyrics were. Hell, I didn't know the song, but he knew it.
I'm always so interested that we put people in a box musically.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 80s, man, just like you did. MTV was on playing. It took a little time to get to Michael Jackson, but man, there's so much rock and roll that I still listen to that I grew up with. I'll even go. Johnny Cash is in my playlist. If you steal my phone right now,
yeah, absolutely. The Man in Black is where it's at, man. I love me some Johnny Cash, And you talk about the era that we were coming up in, man. You had Friday night videos on MTV, night tracks on TBS. MTV was just coming, So I know just as much, Duran as I know Run DMC. Hell, it was force-fed to you.
Man, oh my God, Tears for Fears, Culture Club, Duran, Hungry Like the Wild.
Crowded House.
All this stuff is in my playlist right now. So look, people, we're just people. We all like music. It's got instruments, and it all comes back, from the same place. If you, I'll let Neely give you that history lesson about the Mississippi Delta and the birth of music in America. That might be a good episode for the off week. But man, it really shows, man. We were talking about this before we came on. Neely, I knew this thing was going to pop and be popular because of Deion Sanders, man, but just the veins, the things that have stretched out, man, and how many people these kids can touch, be a part of, be influenced by, it has been nothing short of incredible. I mean, from Snoop Dogg to, country music stars and whatever else, man, whatever these kids do, whatever this program does, man, it is hitting everybody, all parts of the population.
And it's just getting started. One thing Coach Prime shared with me late spring, early summer, I was sitting down talking to him about the pregame show numbers and how everything was growing at an exponential clip. And I said, hey, Coach, we haven't even played a football game yet. And he said, no, Neely, that's not it. We haven't even won a football game yet. Wait till we play and start winning and keep on winning. And you're going to really see the world taking notice of what's going on in Colorado. And that's what has happened. I told you guys, I always felt strongly that we were going to go to Oregon 3-0, hit some bumps in the road after that, got another win. Speaking of wins, Tommy, I don't know how to put this, man, but I tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell y'all that Vegas was absolutely wrong, saying that Colorado wouldn't win more than 3 games. I don't know why y'all didn't hop on it. I hopped on it.
Yeah, we at 4 already, and what? How many? Quick math. How many games are still remaining here in the regular season?
Oh, you got 7 left.
Seven to get. You got 7 chances to get to 6, and you're at 4. And
you mentioned this earlier. Yeah. Let me tell you what's happening out there, Tolly. You might be happy to hear this. The folks at the good old Peach Bowl have already been lobbying, saying they want Colorado.
I like it. Not only do I like it, I love it. I tell you what I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking what type of content, what the Neely and I need to do to get ready for bowl coverage. That was what was on my mind this morning. And look, we can't have this conversation with Carl. Carl will chastise us on the big boys and tell us we're looking too far forward. You're only taking one game at a. He got that coach speak in him. Like, we love Carl because he's gonna break it down with the analytics. But we start talking that talk, getting too far ahead. He's gonna try to check us. But that was what was on my mind this morning. What type of special tricks can we pull for our bowl coverage coming up?
Well, coaches are going to talk like that, man. 1 week at a time. You want to go 1-0 each week. I don't know if there's outside of Deion Sanders people who just literally live that, where the goal is go undefeated. A lot of people, when they're amongst themselves and get the paper out, they go through the W's and the L's and that kind of thing. And here's what has to happen in a season, man, to win a championship. I don't care if it's a conference championship or a national championship. I don't care if it's third grade Challenge Bowl. You got to beat everybody you're supposed to beat, and then you got to beat somebody you ain't supposed to beat. That's how you get there. That's the road to it. So far, I know that TCU was 17 in the country and favored because we had changed so much and they had changed so much. I really didn't have them, as a game that we were going to steal. I believe we were going to win that one. So far, we haven't beat somebody that we weren't supposed to beat. We're going to have a lot of opportunity for that and toward the back half of this season. Because right now, Tolly, we have this discussion, we got 7 games left, 5 of those people in the top 15.
This is what I mean to ask you every week. The Pac-12 fell apart basically because they couldn't get a TV contract to get that money dispersed to all the schools. In the spring, the Pac-12 commissioner, I remember at one point he was like, let's hold off just a second. We got Deion Sanders in the fold here. I think this might change things. It did not get the traction that it needed. But here's the question. If you started right now, wipe the slate clean, just everybody's not going wherever they're going, and they started TV rights negotiations for the Pac-12 right now, do you think it would have been a different story?
Absolutely. If Deion Sanders is at Colorado, which is a Pac-12 school at that time, 6 months before he got here, it doesn't unravel. Because people would have not only got to see what was coming, they would have then turned into believers as what was coming. And it just was the timing of it, that things unraveled just as he was arriving, and his impact here really didn't have an impact with that deal. But there's no doubt about it, man. There's got to be people in the smoky rooms of the Pac-12 office going, damn, if we just had 90 more days or got started 90 days sooner, we wouldn't be in this quagmire that we're in because, essentially, man, it's literally over for the Pac-12.
And that's so crazy when you look at where they are right now. All these teams that are ranked, all this, history with viewership, and then you also have to say what is true. It's like, no one wanted this conference on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, man, just the confluence of events there. You have all these schools ranked in the top 20, ranked in the top 15. 3, I think, are in the top 10 even. Definitely Oregon and USC are in the top 10. And that just changes. Weekly people move 1 or 2 spots either direction. But who would think that a school with that many members of a conference in the top 15 would be having this swan song right now? Unbelievable. The other thing I think you're going to see in the future, Tyler, with just conferences, a discussion you and I could have with Coach Reed on the big boys, is I think people are going to stop attaching numbers to these conferences. They're going to get out of this Elite 8, Big 10, Big 12 nonsense because one day we're going to have super conferences with 20 schools in them.
Right. It also sheds light, Neely, to me on the experts and how their train of thought and just, I would say, lack of, I don't know if it's lack of vision, but for a room full of experts, no one thought that this could be possible, and it happened so quickly and so easily. Not to say that there wasn't hard work and talent put behind it, But nobody saw this coming, Neely. Like nobody was like, no, wait, guys, this is going to be really big. We might need to keep this thing together here.
I wasn't in the room, but I'm sure somebody saw it coming. And I'm sure they had a difficult damn time explaining it to the others because it's almost like prophetic as when a prophet arrives. You know, you're going to have doubters, you're going to have detractors, but you're also going to have believers. And believers don't, and detractors and doubters don't really start believing until they see the miracles happen. And by then it's too late for even some of them. But you and I have been around Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. We knew what was going to happen. Other people were believing that it was going to happen, but there are those of us who absolutely knew it. But I think the powers to be in the Pac-12 did not have a true grasp on the impact that this guy would have on this conference and viewership.
How does it go? And if my mother is watching this and she hears me trying to quote a Bible verse, she's probably going to fall out and faint. But something to the effect of a prophet has no respect in his homeland or something.
That's close enough. Yeah,
close enough.
That's close enough.
I tried, God. I tried.
He knows your heart.
He does. He does. Let's get back to football before we get some lightning here. We're going to talk about Stanford later in the week. We're going to do another pregame show rewind and kind of take you through things that are happening in practice this week and whoever shoots a new shot. With Neely rolling the camera, you never know. But I think one big thing we should discuss, though, and we can get more into this in the next couple of days with the big boys, the emergence of Javon Antonio and his big body as a receiver. That is a beautiful thing, man. Yeah,
man, he has been dealing with some nagging injuries, finally over those physically, now getting over those mentally. He's going to be an impact player. Clearly, Shedeur Sanders trusts his hands. He's going to make some noise the back half of this season. Tell you something you didn't ask me, Tolly, that we can drop right after I tease it for you to ask me. You didn't ask me about the celebrities down there in Tempe, Arizona.
I didn't. I didn't get the celebrity. I watched it on TV. Full transparency. I was also watching wrestling at the same time. I was on the treadmill. I had wrestling. I had the game. So I was keeping track of what was happening, but I probably missed some of the cutaways. What was the
I'm not going to blame you, Tolly. I'm going to blame the Pac-12 network. I doubt that the cameraman and producer with the Pac-12 network even knows who the hell Waka Flocka Flame is. But I did have a chat with Waka Flocka Flame, and here it is.
Hey, man, let's go hard to paint. You are here in Arizona to support Coach Prime.
Yes, man, always. No, I love Arizona, and Prime that's Prime. Yeah. He's the reason I love football. So,
yeah. So what's the energy feel like to be at this game?
Hot.
He is hot, man.
The tension on it. It just feels good. It's Arizona, man. Yeah. And you got Prime energy with it. That hype is the whole energy of it. And the running back running right now.
So in your travels, man, you get to see a lot, hear a lot. What's the buzz you're feeling about the Prime effect across the nation?
I think Deion's the Coach Prime movement, it's more like we're going to be unapologetic and perfect. We're not going to be arrogant. We're not going to be angry. We're not going to point a finger. We're just going to show excellence. And I feel like that's like the Prime effect. That's prime time. Yeah.
A lot of folks felt like when he was leaving the HBCU and coming to a PWI that he might dial it back or something, but he's always him no matter the environment.
I guess because it's more of a narrative they want you to fit, right? But when you got a man at Deion's level, you have to not forget that he's experienced, he's a legend, he's been for a long time, and this is not something he's doing based off how people feel. It's based off his experience and what he knows is right. And who could tell Deion what's right and wrong? He's the only one that experienced his time in the league and his experience with people. So I love it. I'm gonna be honest. I love it.
How soon before we get you to Boulder?
Huh?
How soon before we get you to Boulder for a home game?
Boulder? I love Boulder. I was in Boulder and back in the trail swinging on the ropes off the trees in the lake. So I'm a real Boulder, you know what I mean? Welcome Prime to Boulder. I used to be there. I love it.
Waka Flocka. Now that is Atlanta flavor for you there. I did see this, Neely. An Arizona State legend got himself in a little bit of trouble. You know how Twitter and X likes to dig up some old photos and put you on blast. So Jake the Snake, Jake Plummer, you might remember him from the Denver Broncos. He was one of those gunslinger quarterbacks. Lives in Colorado. Was at a game. I don't remember which game it was, but he had on a Colorado shirt, and boy, they tried to get at him. Neely like, oh, you cheering for Colorado now, man. This thing, look, Neely, it'll get you. Colorado get you caught up in these streets, man.
It ain't the rewind if I don't drop a bar. And when you say that, all I can think of is my man Rakim, who said it best. All I can do is come right in, Zach. It ain't where you're from, it's where you're at.
And the Snake is in Colorado right now.
So he got to rock Colorado gear, man.
It is what it is, man. It just is what it is. Don't hate. Congratulate. I'm so looking forward to this Friday night game. I like the Saturday 12s. I'm able to devote all of my attention. And then it's like the most exciting. I like to eat my cake first, right? Like I'll eat cake for breakfast. That doesn't bother me. I'll eat ice cream for breakfast. So I get Colorado on a Friday night. We'll get more into news later in the week, but just a little bit of tease as we start to look forward to practice this week. I think you get this game, you get the bye week. I think the team that comes back from the bye week, unless something just unpredictable and crazy happens, man, that's going to be a different, especially when you talk about recovery, you talk about getting 2% better each day. I think that's going to be a really dangerous team coming out of the bye week.
Absolutely agree with you, Tolly. Couldn't have said that better, man. You spoke for both of us at that very moment, because here's what you have to appreciate. Even in the first couple of games where we won, and we were at full strength, no injuries. We weren't at full strength when you consider experience, playing with each other, learning this offense, learning these defensive schemes. Fast forward a couple of weeks, the injury bug starts to bite. So your knowledge of what Coach Kelly is teaching on defense is growing. Your knowledge of what Sean Lewis is teaching on offense is growing. But now you got to change out bodies because people have succumbed to injuries. By the time you get to this bye week, because you went into, say, the USC game, you go into the Oregon game, and you have 6 guys in the secondary, 4 of which were starters, who were dealing with injuries. By the time you come off the bye week, those guys are back. So I think when you go into November, that you're looking at the best team that Colorado would have been able to put on the field this season.
And it's going to be so vital. You talked about all the ranked teams that remain in what will then be the 6 games remaining. The bye week comes at a perfect time, right at the halfway point of the regular season. It'll be interesting as we look. It's still early, but it's like, hey, man.
Absolutely.
What was once the worst team in college football has teams less than a year later has bowl organizations showing interest less than a year later. I don't.
But you have to love the setup, Tolly. Excuse me. You have to love the setup because you have a home game on a Friday night, and then you go into your bye week. Then you go on the road to UCLA. So Stanford is one of those opponents. Not taking anybody for granted, but it's a good opponent to have on a Friday night. You then travel to UCLA, and then when you come back, you're 2 games in a row at Folsom Field. Then you close out with the tougher 2 opponents on the road to end the season. So, you get Stanford, one of those next 3 out of UCLA in the 2 home games, you're going bowling, man.
Man, and can you imagine the exposure that's going to come out of that? Oh, my God, that's going to be something. That is going to be something. Neely, we are closing in on 100,000. Did I say that right? 100,000 subscribers? That's a lot of people. 100,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel. We're like that far away. Neely, if people have not hit that subscribe button, they should do it like right now. Like right now.
Yeah, they really should. And I appreciate the 98 or 98,500 people that have done it this year and over the past 2 seasons with Coach Prime at Jackson State. Man, 100,000 is certainly a benchmark in the YouTube space, but we ain't stopping there. We're going to keep putting out quality inside content that you can't get anywhere else. And, man, looking forward to when 200,000 comes. But for now, man, just blessed and thankful that we're right there, like you said, Tolly, right there at reaching 100,000 subscribers to the pregame show. Blessed and really appreciate it, and glad to know that people appreciate the product and content that we're putting out.
Yeah, we love our community out there. Neely, what does Google send you in the mail? Do you get like a statue? What do you get?
You get a plaque. They send you a silver plaque, and they change the color of your logo within YouTube to silver, congratulating you on the 100,000 threshold. So it's a pretty big deal. And here's something, Tolly, that we got coming in association in conjunction with the website, because don't forget about thepregameshow.com, where you can go get written articles that cover totally different things from what YouTube is covering. So you want to be on all these spaces. We're adding some memberships and subscriptions when we get to 100K. So you're going to get another level of, hey, I didn't see this anywhere else. It's because you weren't a paid subscriber for that exclusive content.
Well, I think, Neely, and I think I speak for America, that when we reach 100K, there's it's kind of like a silver status. I think you should just get rid of all the black that remains in the beard. Like, it should just go completely silver.
I don't know how to do that without dyeing it, and I'm not going to dye it. But if you keep worrying the hell out of me, it's going to turn all gray on its own.
You don't have to worry about that. Well, if maybe we'll screenshot some of the text messages when we're trying to coordinate producing the show. Neely will agree to the time, like today, and I'll say, "Hey, can we change the time to this time?" And it's the same time that we agreed to, and he's like, "Fool."
Yeah. we already did that. And if you go back, you talk about screenshots. Go back to when I first met you. My beard wasn't this gray. I mean, I'm just saying, Tolly, could be a correlation.
I saw a picture you posted. It was a throwback to Jackson State. You were at homecoming. It wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe 5-6 years ago, and your beard was totally black. Totally.
And the connection is I didn't know you did. But look at me now.
About 3 years ago, I met Neely, and the beard just went downhill.
Yeah.
All right. Can we brag on our writer? I don't know if he signed an NDA. Can we brag on?
Oh, absolutely.
Trevor? Can we brag on Trevor?
Let's brag on Trevor, man.
All right. So we got a new writer at thepregameshow.com. It's Trevor. Trevor does an awesome job. Trevor is also in the credits of a very popular series that just came out. He's one of the, am I saying it right to call him a VFX assistant?
Let's go with that, because you did better than I was done.
Okay. So Trevor is working on some of the visual effects on season 2 of Loki on Disney Plus. I watched episode 1. You're a fellow kind of sci-fi type guy, right? You're into Loki.
Yeah.
Right?
Man, love all the Marvel content, and to have a guy who's writing for the pregame show also be doing his thing with Marvel in the Loki series. Alexis, who happens to be my daughter, is in animation as well. Man, they're just very talented young people. We have a bright future, not only in the pregame show and its subsidiaries, but just a bright future in general, man. There's some good young people using their talents for a good cause out there.
I was just impressed that we now have subsidiaries. Like that did it for me, because I remember when. And it's been so great, and it's because of you guys. We kid and joke around, but without your support, it doesn't happen. So you keep us popping. We keep the information coming to you. Look for another episode later this week ahead of Friday night's game. It is the pregame show rewind. We got the big boys coming up later this week. We got a lot to break down. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It is Uncle Neely. He is in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Tolly Carr in Atlanta. So what's the sign? You gotta. What's that? Is that in Atlanta? We got this in Atlanta. What you got in Boulder?
Oh, I was just pointing at the Boulder shirt and then pointing east toward Atlanta where you are.
Okay.
But I know peace up, A-time down. So
okay. Look, the culture is coming to, is coming to Boulder, man. I didn't know if y'all, we're getting some.
Oh man, it's black. Hey, it's about black as Atlanta around here right now. So.
Let's see. Atlanta's about 92% black. Boulder about 1.5. You got a ways to go, but you're coming.
All
right, that's it for this episode of The Rewind. We'll talk to you guys a little later. We've done a couple that were like twice a week, but let's just work on some fuzzy George Bush math here. We've been doing this. I hit the wrong button. Let's try that again. I have my finger on. God, hit the wrong one. Let's try that again.